Welcome to Strengths Champion Solutions, where we help you grow stronger, work smarter, and live richer. I'm your host, Brent O'Bannon. I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach and a master certified coach with the International Coaching Federation. And today we're going to be talking about how entrepreneurial are you? I don't know if you understand what entrepreneurship is, but today, if you're curious about how to create a side hustle, how to create a business, maybe even be what we call an intrapreneur. You're working at a company and you want to learn how to create more business development inside your organization, then today you're going to be able to look at the top 10 talents that Gallup has measured for successful entrepreneurs. So put on your hat, take up your pen and pencil, piece of paper, and let's have a discussion. Feel free to put questions into the chat box as we go through this topic today. And I hope you find some value, especially in figuring out how entrepreneur you are. That is a question that I ask a lot of my clients that come to me. And it's a question that will help determine if you are best suited to work as an intrapreneur with an organization or an entrepreneur, or sometimes as I call a business leader with your own independent business. So Gallup did some research and published a book called Born to Build. Born to Build. The subtitle is How to Build a Thriving Startup, a Winning Team, New Customers, and Your Best Life Imaginable. In today's marketplace, many of us are thought leaders. Maybe you're a coach, a consultant, or maybe you're an insurance salesperson, maybe you're a financial advisor, and you have expertise and knowledge in particular areas. Maybe it's in technology. The question is, how can you be a dreamer and still execute? A lot of people think that you have to be one or the other. Entrepreneurs are both. They know how to dream about their product, their service, and they want to serve the world, but they also know they can never serve the world unless they get that product or that service out to potential paying customers. So what are the top 10 talents that Gallup has discovered? Well, number one is confidence. And we all have our different definitions of what is confidence. But I'll say that when you look at the Gallup definitions of confidence, they say that these entrepreneurs, they take quick and decisive action. They seize opportunities knowing they will succeed, and they use their talents to persist in the face of uncertainty and failure. I think many times I've seen a sense of self-assurance, self-belief, self-efficacy, using that psychological term. And those terms help us to better understand. It doesn't mean that entrepreneurs don't get discouraged or they might lose confidence. But when you look at the Inc. top 500 entrepreneurs, they tend to score at around the 90th percentile on these top 10 talents. And those that are average or below, somewhere around the 50th and below percentile. So ask yourself, on a scale of even 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, where would I put my confidence in my product, in my service, which many times is you as the entrepreneur? And that's where it gets risky and dicey for some people. But of course, every one of these talents also has a help side where it helps you and a hinder side where if it's overused, obviously if overconfidence turns into arrogance, then that could be a real turnoff. And we've seen that in many very successful entrepreneurs and athletes that they borderline on healthy confidence versus arrogance. But again, those people that are successful entrepreneurs definitely have a high dose of confidence. That doesn't mean they may not struggle with the imposter syndrome, but I will say they will find solutions to the imposter syndrome fast, and they will move on with a sense of confidence. The second area is relationship. And when you think about strong interpersonal relationship skills, there are many entrepreneurs that have that ability to build that know, like, and trust factor. There's that likability factor. And they have a diverse social network. But here's the thing that's a little bit different with entrepreneurs. They know how to leverage the knowledge of their social network. They know how to give and receive best practices from a social network. This is why I believe that entrepreneurs love masterminds. If you've never been in a mastermind before, it's a community where other entrepreneurs get you and you get them. It's a safe place to incubate your ideas, your products, your services. But relationship goes beyond just your internal relationships. It's those external relationships with potential customers. You have to be willing to trust and to take a risk, which is another talent we'll talk about in just a moment. But relationship building is the most important. I will say that when I look at my own profile, my own assessment, that relationship is number 2 for me. And so I even connect my strengths of individualization and relator to that relationship building. And by the way, if you've taken Clifton Strengths Assessment, aka StrengthsFinder 2.0, then you'll also see a correlation between your Clifton Strengths talent themes and these entrepreneurial talents. Though these talents are different than Clifton Strengths, but you can see a correlation of that. The third area to look at here is determination. Entrepreneurs definitely have that sense of willpower. There is a sense of eagerness to turn adversity into opportunity. I was talking to an entrepreneur recently who really struggled with rejection. And I would say many entrepreneurs are fearful of rejection, but they learn how to have a thick skin and not to take no's personally. They are determined. And if someone says no to them, then in their mind and in their heart, they say next. They're looking for the person who will say yes, the person who will purchase their product and their service. So that means you have to have grit. You have to have perseverance. As you know, the research is really clear. Rich and Holly both, I know that in their own experience, that you see how many people will give up building their business after 1 year. And we even see that most businesses don't even make it past 3 years. It is way above average to make your business continue to scale and grow 10 years. So if you have a business as an entrepreneur and it's still going after 10 years, you need to give yourself a little pat on the back. And of course, I'm sure you had a team helping you. It wasn't just you. But determination and that persistence is huge to entrepreneurship. The next talent is one that I think envy, and that is the disruptor. People with the disruptor talent, they many times have ideation, maybe even strategic, and they can see out of the box ideas. They might have like connectedness as a Clifton strength. And people with disruptor, they quickly let their mind go to the marketplace and come up with a solution to the pain and to the needs of the marketplace. And so disruptors may have futuristic, where they are dreaming about what if and what could be. I know for myself, when I create my services and my different products, the way that I disrupt is by combining knowledge from different fields. So it may be using psychology and combining it with business or combining it with strengths. And so all of a sudden you have a new product and a new service and a new way of looking at a product and service because you're combining several elements together. The next area is risk. And it is true that those who are business leaders, business owners, they have to have an ability to handle risk. And by the way, those entrepreneurs that are high in risk, which is number 4 for me, is that they do their due diligence to research the marketplace. So it's not just that they're activating and jumping, though many do, before they research their product and service, but they're also assessing the timing. Is it the right time to bring my product and service to the market? Do I have enough capital to be able to take a risk and to create this product and service for the marketplace? But when you look at different strengths, there's no doubt that people with competition, maybe even people with command, they have that natural sense of adventure and challenge. And they almost see it as fun to take that risky step. And many times their mantra is go big or go home. So yes, risk is major. So another talent that Gallup has done a lot of research on is what they call selling. And selling in the traditional sense is a little different than Gallup's definition of selling. The way they talk about selling is that it's someone's ability to consistently communicate a clear vision of their business to their customers. So think of a person who is high in selling as a great communicator and maybe even storyteller, that they can verbally communicate and get their message across through all the chaos and through the media and through different channels. So they're able to communicate and to put together an intriguing story that people want to listen to, that people will respond to. So when you think of people who are high in selling, think of not just as a salesperson who is able to have product knowledge and ask someone to close the deal, but think of that person also as having a high ability to communicate, not just one-to-one, but one-to-many. The next area of the top 10 talents is independence. Now think about that word, independence. dependence. So I remember being at a training at one of the Gallup programs. In fact, it was the very first time I met Jim Clifton, who is the CEO, was the CEO. I think he just stepped down now. And his son, John Clifton, is now CEO of Gallup. And anyway, he talked about how entrepreneurs were like coyotes. It brought a chuckle to all of us with his woo. And he was talking about independence is maybe you'll pair up with someone else, but there is that sense of being solo. And so we talk about solopreneurs. These are typically one-person bands, and they may have other team members that they contract with or that they utilize periodically. I would say there's a lot of solopreneurs in the world today, and they have created small teams, sometimes what I call a dream team or a SWAT team. And that independence is that ability to take ownership and to be motivated to get to the goal that you have as a business owner and leader. So if you are totally rely on someone else to motivate you, you may not be high in entrepreneurship. Look at your motivation. Now, the next talent is called knowledge. This is actually my number one on my assessment. So Gallup talks about knowledge. And what's interesting about knowledge, by the way, is it's not just about being a learner and enjoying the process of learning. Learner is a typical Clifton Strengths assessment, Clifton Strengths talent that may be associated with knowledge. However, I associate my focus, and I have low learner, but I have high focus with my knowledge. So in other words, when you have a product or service, you know how to learn everything there is about that product and service. And so therefore, with that knowledge is power, right? You become a thought leader. You become an expert in that particular area. But it's not just that you acquire the knowledge for yourself. You're sharing that knowledge with others. And so by sharing that knowledge, creating those strategies, and that's why I'm a training and development company, Strengths Champion Solutions. We help organization and teams to champion their people like their business depends on it. And our way of helping organizations is to help them grow stronger, work smarter, and live richer. So my point is that many of us who are entrepreneurs are what I would call a thinkubator. So we like to think and use that knowledge and sell that knowledge to help others. Now, the last area, which also is my lowest area as an entrepreneur, is delegator. And so delegator, and if you think about it, it can be a challenge for entrepreneurs who are very independent to delegate, because they're so interested in getting things done themselves instead of hiring the right talent, getting the right talent into the right seats around them. But the longer I've been an entrepreneur and own my own business, the more I realize that I do need a SWAT team. I do need knowledge experts, especially in technology, especially with my website. And these are areas that absolutely I do not want to learn by myself. I would rather hire someone else to do that. My wife is she does all of our billing, all of our QuickBooks, all of our invoicing. And I have no desire or even attraction to learn how to do QuickBooks and all of those things. So delegating that is one way that I help keep myself focused on what I do best. But I admire those entrepreneurs who maybe have higher ranger and maybe even high developer, which helps them to see potential and orchestrate the right people to help them build their business. So these are the top 10 that if you want to discover your own results, again, you can purchase the book. There is a code in the book, Born to Build. And if you want to go over your results and look at what is your rank order of your top 10 builder talents, that way you know from top to bottom what is strongest and weakest for you. Now, one thing that I'll say is, like, for example, when you get this particular assessment, if you also want to find out how your talents correlate to the general population versus the top quartile of entrepreneurs, then you will need to get what we call a coach's insight report. You have to go through someone who has been trained in this particular assessment. And in that particular report, you will see how all of your top 10 talents correlate and how they look compared to the Inc. 500. Okay. So I can tell you for myself, so just to give you a little picture of Brent O'Bannon behind the kimono, my number one is knowledge at the 96th percentile. Relationship is at the 91st percentile. Determination is at the 88th percentile. Risk is at 81%. Selling is at 79. Independence at 77. Confidence is actually at 77. Profitability, did I forget to go over that one? That one may be one that was actually changed from, let's see here. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, business focus, profitability. Business focus was the original name that Gallup used, and now profitability is the newer name. Disruptor, I'm at 69%, and Delegator was my only 1 out of 10 that I was below the top quartile of entrepreneurs. So think of these entrepreneurial talents as areas, yes, that there are some hard wiring to these talents. However, these are talents that can also be grown. So you can add knowledge, you can add skills, you can add practice. And of course, you want to develop a team in those areas that maybe are not as natural in your wheelhouse. Also, I have a really cool spreadsheet that shows the correlation of the 34 Clifton Strengths themes with all 10 of the builder profile talents. So if you have any particular questions about certain Clifton strengths and which of the builder profile talents that are connected, feel free to reach out to me. So if I was to leave you with 3 very important questions you can ask yourself. Number 1 would be, out of these top 10, how would you rank your ability for each one from 1 to 5? Give yourself your own score. Maybe even get feedback from other people who know you well. And that is one place that you can informally begin to gain more self-awareness around entrepreneurship. Here's the second question. Out of your top 10 entrepreneurial talents, What is your top 3 that you're the best at, and the top 2 that you are most challenged that you need the help with? Knowing what you're best at, knowing what you're weakest at is really important as an entrepreneur and growing your product and service and your business. And then here's number 3. Number 3 is, how do your Clifton strengths, aka StrengthsFinder 2.0, how do your top 10 strengths apply and connect with each of these top 10 entrepreneurial talents? If you will take those 3 questions and begin to do some self-coaching around those areas, believe me, you will definitely grow stronger and you'll start working smarter. And eventually, you will begin to live richer with more profitability. So thanks, Holly. Thanks, Rich, Darby, for coming on live today. And any comments or questions, thanks for sharing that. And stay tuned till next time. Bye, everyone.